Treasury Department releasing its monthly statement highlighting revenue from tariffs increased to an all-time high of 301% over the last year. Last month, the Treasury took in $27 billion from tariffs, $113 billion so far in the fiscal year, also an all-time record. But President Trump's trade war is heating up with our neighbors to the north. The president announcing a 35% tariff on Canadian imports effective August 1st, citing the flow of fentanyl across the northern border, and that Ottawa is retaliating with duties of its own on the United States. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney writing on X that Canada has, quote, made vital progress to stop the scourge of fentanyl in North America, and that Canada will continue to work with the U.S. to save lives in both countries. Joining me now in a Fox Biz exclusive is Zekelman Industries Chairman and CEO Barry Zekelman. Always great to speak with you, Barry. And again, more news in your industry. Yeah. So your company is the largest independent steel pipe and tube manufacturer in North America. I know you're a proud Canadian, born and raised in Windsor, Ontario. What is your reaction to these new tariffs on Canada and kind of this back and forth between President Trump and Carney?
Yeah, I'm a proud Canadian, but I'd say I'm a proud Comerican. I mean, we have many operations in the U.S. My kids both live in Texas and are U.S. citizens, and the bulk of my employees are in the U.S. It's tough. I mean, it's very tough. These are two countries that have been great friends for, hundreds of years, and we really need to bring that back to a stable, steady state. We're great trading partners. Both are each other's largest trading partner, and we have to find some way to de-escalate this. It's critical. We want to be a great trading partner to the U.S. The U.S. wants to be a great trading partner to Canada, and we want to do that fairly and justly for both countries. And I'm just hoping that they can come to some conclusion on that.
Barry, I want to get your take on this because Edward Lawrence, who's our White House correspondent, said that an administration official told him today that they're expecting carve-outs for goods being traded under the USMCA agreement. That's the U.S., Canada, Mexico, obviously. So under that umbrella, they wouldn't get that extra 35% tariff. Do you think that takes the sting out of the tariff story just a little bit?
No, I think it definitely helps in what the U.S. needs and Canada needs. But look, there's some sticking points here, and there's some areas that Canada needs to address, and probably the U.S. does as well. And we need to sit down and hammer those out. And I just think that the temperature is so high. It got so personal. When it started with anthem booing and things of this nature. And all President Trump wanted to do is to tell Canada that you've got to come to the table. And it wasn't moving fast enough, so he didn't like that. And he uses a big stick to get the ball rolling, and that's where we're at now. And it's escalated, and hopefully we can work something out. I know I'd love to work something out from both sides of the equation and let things get back to more normality.
How are things going right now with the steel and aluminum tariffs already in place? Do you feel that there is fair trade going on between other countries, those other countries that are exporting into the United States? Or do you think that there needs to be a change in how this is evaluated and policed?
Yeah. So steel has been at the forefront of trade abuse for many decades, and why that is because there's such overcapacity globally, because every country really needs the steel industry. It's critical to our survival. We see it everywhere in everything we use, so we have to have steel. And many countries, China in particular, has huge overcapacity. So the devil's in the details. The problem with the way it's done now is that you declare a value for duty, and then the duty is charged on that. The declaration of value is kind of a scout's honor. It's very hard to verify. People, the countries, the bad actors will tell you a value to then get a lower duty. We've seen record imports of standard pipe in the month of June with 50% duties. We know they're doing this by deflating the value of their imports, lying, if you will, and then getting a lower duty and then just saturating the market. So, there has to be a different way to do this, and an easier way. And let's be real. Customs and Border Protection has a lot on their plate. So an easier way to do this would be to just do it by weight. Then there's no cheating. You can't cheat on the weight. It's on a bill of lading. It's on a ship documents. The trucks that come off the port go across a scale. So we'd like to see specific tariffs and put that in place and be done with it. Then it wouldn't matter what country it came from, who it came through. In other words, the UAE, who has now overtaken us as the biggest the supplier of pipe to the U.S. market, which is crazy. It's unbelievable that happens. Brings in steel from India to circumvent duties and ships the pipe. It makes pipe and ships it here. It wouldn't matter that it came from India. You'd charge the duty on the weight of the pipe. You'd charge the duty on the weight of the steel coil or the steel beam, and that way it's done. It doesn't matter where the country of origin is. It doesn't matter what the declared value is. It's based on weight, and it would be very, very easy then to take away the cheating and make it simpler for Customs and Border Protection, and then give us a stable market where we can grow and provide the strategic goods that are needed to run this nation. It's critical.
Well, and you know what, Barry? That is something that I think the White House needs to look at, and that is something that would fall under the purview of, say, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, for example. And I'm glad that you're bringing that very important point to light, because what these countries are doing is negating the power of the tariffs, and that's something that's very important to President Trump, and we know that. I want to ask you, I know this isn't quite your industry, but I got to ask you about these copper tariffs, because I want to get your sense of what this means for the overall U.S. manufacturing industry, because this 50% tariff on copper, we imported, I was looking at this, 908,000 metric tons last year of copper, and the prices have been jumping since this all started. The Wall Street Journal editorial board wrote this op-ed last night. It's a little tough. They say Trump's tariffs blow up the copper market. They say he's going to make U.S. firms pay 50% more for a vital metal while they have to wait 5 or more years to get U.S. sourcing. And again, that U.S. manufacturing story is under your purview as well. So.
It is. And look, it's the same story, right? I mean, we've deemed that copper is a strategic asset here, vital to our survival as a nation. I mean, you're not going to have an electrification of the grid. You're not going to have an MRI machine. You're not going to have wires. You're not going to have electric cars. Nothing that has copper in it to electrify is going to be able to be had here. So you have to have a copper industry. It's vital, right? If the blank hits the fan, we're in trouble without a copper industry. So we need to incentivize the opening of mines here, the refining of copper, and we need to bring that back here. So, putting it in a place where the market can lift up and you can actually open a mine here and be profitable and produce the copper here is what they're trying to go after. The devil is also in the downstream, right? I mean, what good is a copper industry here if we don't have downstream users of copper to make the actual products that we need? So it's not only protecting the copper industry and opening up and incentivizing mines to be here. It's about protecting the users of it. So there's a balancing point there that we can get to on the price of copper. Sure, it's going to shoot up and spike right now on this news, but there's ways to mitigate that and to bring that down too and get it to a healthy price. When you look at steel, the same thing happened to steel. You'll talk about steel going up and inflation and going down. If you look over a 20-30 year period, steel is probably the most deflationary item that is produced. I mean, I can remember paying for steel the same price I'm paying today I was paying 10 years ago. So, it's a product that has to be made at a healthy price that is good enough for the industry to make a return, and then enough of a competitive price where the users of that product can use it competitively and make the product here and support all of the vital things that America needs.
Barry Zekelman, it's always great to speak with you on this issue. We're going to have you back very soon. Thank you for those important points, Barry.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to see you, sir.